Welcome everyone. We're just going to pause a moment while everyone's computers come online. Okay, welcome to our Lunch Bites webinar series, which is held at noon Central Time on the second Tuesday of every month. Our series is designed to be short but loaded with information related to farm to school. Each webinar in our series will feature a 20-minute presentation followed by a short Q&A session. Feel free to ask questions as you think of them during today's webinar by typing them into the chat window on your control panel. If you have suggestions for topics or speakers you'd like this series to cover, please send an email to me, Chelsea Simpson, at chelsea@farmtoschool.org. On today's webinar, we'll be talking about making local food sourcing a SNAP with FoodHub. FoodHub is EcoTrust's free online directory and marketplace for buyers and sellers of regional food. I'm Chelsea Simpson. I'm the Membership and Communications Associate with the National Farm to School Network. I'll be facilitating the webinar today. We also have our panelists on the line with us. We have Stacy Sabell from the Farm to School Manager at EcoTrust. EcoTrust is a Portland, Oregon-based conservation organization committed to building a future that strengthens communities and the environment from Alaska to California. At EcoTrust, Stacy supports and promotes farm-to-school programming at local, state, and regional levels. EcoTrust has acted as the lead agency for the 8-state western region of the National Farm-to-School Network since 2007. Stacy works with schools, child care centers, and other institutions to help them learn how to use FoodHub and find local farms and producers. Our other panelist today is Megan Fouch. She is the Membership and Marketing Coordinator with FoodHub, which is a project of EcoTrust. She is an Oregon native who learned her first lessons in agriculture from her parents in the forest of the Pacific Northwest and in exploring the bounty of her grandmother's Central California farm. With FoodHub, Megan focuses her efforts on creating an easy, seamless environment for members to connect and do business with one another. So without further ado, Stacy and Megan, take it away.
Thanks, Chelsea. Hopefully everybody can hear us all right. My name is Megan, and I am the coordinator for FoodHub. I do the membership and marketing services, and I'm here with Stacy.
And I'm Stacy Sobel, the Farm to School Manager at EcoTrust, and I also work with schools on FoodHub.
And just to kick everyone off today, we just wanted to shortly talk about what we're going to cover in this webinar. First, of course, this is a lot about what FoodHub is and how it works. But we also wanted to address a little bit about FoodHub, our model of FoodHub, versus FoodHub. It's a widely used term, so we wanted to provide some clarification. And then we'll do a short site demo about using FoodHub to find products and also to build relationships. And we wanted to start with a quick poll question and just ask you guys how long you've been purchasing local food for your school meal program. And we'll take a couple minutes to let everyone get a chance to answer the question and then continue on. Okay, so let's continue.
There were polls open.
Chelsea, is the poll closed now?
Yeah, so we should all be seeing the poll results.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, great. Let's see, click back into the thing. There we go. So what is FoodHub? FoodHub is an online directory and marketplace that helps schools quickly and easily connect with local food producers in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, California, and Alaska. And right now we are primarily in the 6-state regions, but we know we might have some folks online from other parts of the country, and you're actually more than welcome to join FoodHub and check it out. But we are in the 6-state region, so if you go on and don't find folks in your area at first, bear with us. We are hoping to expand nationally in the near future. And we wanted to go ahead and ask a second poll question just to get an idea of how everybody here is currently sourcing local food. And we wanted to know, how do you currently find farms?
And there's our results, Stacy.
Great.
And Megan.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks for everybody who took the time to answer those questions. It really gives us a lot of information about who we're talking with today. Okay, and so let's continue. So what are food hubs versus the model that we're talking about today? Well, food hubs, as defined by the USDA, are usually physical hubs that coordinate supply chain logistics. They can also aggregate local produce from many small farms in order to satisfy the requirements of large buyers. They might also prepare and process foods and also widen distribution opportunities for many small and mid-sized producers, as well as they might develop branding and certification schemes for products being sold. So they provide marketing opportunities for these small to mid-sized farms to a wide range of buyers. And FoodHub, the model that we're talking about and that we'll explore today, helps connect buyers and sellers through a free online directory and marketplace. We provide marketing tools that are self-applied by producers, so we give them some options and they can use them as they might to spread the word about their business and their products. We give buyers a one-stop shop to find a variety of sellers, and we work with school districts to help them find producers of any size. And we help them buy product direct from farmers or through distributors. So we really try to make an environment, an online environment, where buyers and sellers of all kinds of any size can have a place to connect. So who is FoodHub for? Of course, we have sellers, farmers, ranchers, fishermen, distributors, dairies, and the like. We also have associates. So if you are perhaps looking for some grant funding to kickstart your farm-to-school program, or if you're a producer who's joined us today and you're looking for partners to help you extend with season extension projects, we also have farm-to-school partners, nonprofits, state agencies, trade associations, farm bureaus, and farmers markets as members of the site as well. And of course, buyers, so schools, hospitals, personal chefs, grocers, restaurants. And the picture we have here today is Keita Gresser-Sweeney. She's the buyer for the Portland Public School District. So I'm going to hand it over to Stacy, and she's going to kick us off with a demo of how FoodHub works to find products.
Thank you, Megan. So, and then just a quick comment, we couldn't actually see the poll results, so we're really excited to review them later, but otherwise we would have commented on them. So just to let you know. So we are going to go into the tool itself. Hold on here. And show you how it works. And so like we said in the overview, we're going to start by showing you how to find products, and then Megan's going to talk to you about building relationships on FoodHub. So let's go ahead and just get started. Let's start by searching for something that we might search for as a school food service director. Maybe we want to look for local apples. If we type it into the search bar, you can also type it up here. Both of those bars will work. And then I do a search. And what's going to come up is a result of all the farmers in FoodHub, or all the members in FoodHub that are selling apples. So we have 55 members selling apples anywhere. Well, you know what? Maybe we just want to look at farmers, because there could be people selling dried apples or selling applesauce. So now I have 43 farmers selling apples. And maybe what I want to do is I don't want it anywhere. Maybe I'm doing a Harvest of the Month program, and everything I want for this shipment should only come from Oregon for this month. So go down to Oregon, select my state, give it a second to refresh here, and then we're going to see just the farmers that are selling apples in the state. So it's going to give us a nice list, and we'll take a quick scroll through to see what we find. And one of the great things is you can see already a little bit here, even without going into any of the individual profiles, you get a chance. So we see 25 farmers selling apples in Oregon. And even without going into the profiles, you get to see a little bit about the seller or the buyer. So here we see Singer Hill Gardens is in Milwaukee, Oregon. That's about 10 miles away from us, and that's GPS to the point that you put in as your location point. Right now we're in northwestern Oregon. You can read a little bit about how they produce. You can see if they have liability insurance, how big they are. This one's 2 acres. They deliver within 30 miles. We're only 10 miles away, so they could deliver to us. Minimum order $50. So quite a bit of information just in this little snapshot. We can also send them a message or add them to our contacts without even going into profile. Here's a couple more. Jossie Farms, 18 miles away. They're 125 acres, so a little bigger. Sungold Farm, 22 miles away. We can see here they're 60 acres, so kind of mid-range. So this can give you a lot of information where you don't even have to go right into the profile. Let's take a quick look at a profile here. Go into Singer Hill Garden. And these are everything on FoodHub is user populated, so that's something to remember is that the producers and the buyers are putting the information on here. So the more time they spent on their profile, the more information they're going to have on their profile, and the more useful it will be to you. So here we can see we've got some contact information. We've got location over here. We've also got the ability to send a message or add them to our contact list. We can read about how they grow. We can see here again the acres and the liability insurance. Oh, look, they have a school food program. That's really cool. We can read about that. We can scroll down here. We can see how to do business with them, get some more specifics on how they like to grow. They do some forward contracting, it looks like, which can be really great for schools. We were looking at apples, but we can also see that they have other products. So we can check out, we can go to September, which is what we're looking for, and see that in September they have apples. They also have blackberries. Oh, so maybe when I'm talking with them, I might want to inquire about apples as well as blackberries and find out if they're at a good price or a good quality for my school meal program. So let's go back. And we had looked for apples in Oregon, and maybe we want to look, maybe we want to further narrow that search. So maybe I am only interested in working with, let's do, actually we can leave this for now. Maybe I'm only interested in working with those who have liability insurance, because as a school I require liability insurance. So I can check this box. So you look here on the right, refine your search. The main search indicators are up here, but over here, refine your search, we have a lot more options. So I can do a liability insurance here, and it's going to narrow the results to just those who say they have liability insurance. You can see all of these are saying they have a million or more than a million. Another thing I could do is I could say I want to work only with businesses that have GAP certification. So that's Good Agricultural Practices certification. It's kind of a food safety requirement. And so I can go into business certification, click GAP, and then we're going to get a list of those who have GAP certification. So I can see a much smaller list, but I know that they have a certification that I'm looking for. So that's really exciting and very useful. So I'm going to go ahead to, I'm going to go back to where we said farmers. So we have that original search, farmers selling apples in Oregon. And I'm going to save this search because I want to look at something else. But you know what? I want to come back. You know, in general, I look for apples in Oregon, and I don't want to have to go through all these steps again. So I can go ahead and save the search, farmers selling apples, give it whatever name I want. In this case, I'm going to say in Oregon. If I had you know, kept the GAP certification or liability insurance, I could keep those as part of the search and say farmers selling apples in Oregon with GAP, for instance. So we're going to go ahead and save that, and we'll come back to it later. Now what I want to do is do a search for something else. I'm going to do a search for lettuce. And again, I'm going to come up with all the members of FoodHub who say they are selling lettuce. And maybe when I'm thinking about this time, what would be important to me is maybe I would prefer to go through a distributor. So direct deliveries are great, but maybe as a school I can't do too many direct deliveries, and so I'd love to go through my distributor. I can actually narrow down, we see that our results showed 76 members with lettuce, but I can actually narrow that down by distribution method. So I can go in here, and I can say I want to go through my distributor. Maybe I work with 3 distributors locally. Duck Delivery, Aloha, and Food Services of America in Portland. All of which do a great job of assisting local schools with farm to school. So there we go. So now my results are going to be narrowed to just those members that are selling through those distributors. So again, we have a smaller list. There's only, I think, 4 folks on it. But we know that we can ask our distributors to supply lettuce from cow farms or from Syrian Sons. So that's a really great search function to know about. Now, wait a second. I want to go back and look at my apple search, but I can do it really quick. I can go up here where it says My Safe Searches, and there we go. There's farmers selling apples in Oregon. And so you'll see it just goes right to the search. And the nice thing is this is automatically updating. So if I come back in a week from now and there's a new farmer that's joined FoodHub that has apples, he or she is going to show up in my search results as well. So it's a really great way to save time. You can see I also have one here, Washington members selling organic winter squash. And so this will be a list of just Washington members who have winter squash that's organic. So another thing I wanted to mention is that a lot of school districts, or all school districts, have to do bidding, whether that's a formal process or an informal process. So even when you're going out to get a small amount of produce, you have to send out your specs to at least 3 producers. FoodHub is a really great way to do that. You can, there's a few ways you could do this, but the most sort of obvious way would be to find the producers that you're looking for. So say we're looking for organic winter squash. I can think about my specs ahead of time. What's the quality I need, the size, when do I need it, and I could send a message. I could send the exact same message with the specs, to April Joy Farm. So I could paste that in there and send it. I could do the same thing to 3 or 4 or 7 or 8 other farms and get them to send me a price quote back, and that's a great way to do an informal bid. And now I'm going to show you another way that you could do a bid. So another really cool function in FoodHub is the marketplace. So just as a reminder, we were just up either using this bar or the other bar searching for products. Now we're in what's called the marketplace. So this is like the Craigslist of local foods in the Northwest. So it's just people in real time posting food items that they have for sale or that they want. And so I'm going to show you an example from a school that I saw here the other day. Hopefully it's still on here. Yes, it is. So here's David Douglas School District. They want rhubarb, about 170 pounds clean. They're 8 miles from us. We can take a look at the full post here. Let's take a quick look. So this is an example of someone basically doing a bid using the marketplace. So what's really great about this is that you're reaching a wide swath of folks, pretty much everyone on FoodHub, which is at what, Megan, how many total?
We have over 3,000 members right now, actually 3,200 so.
Yeah, so a huge amount of folks are going to be able to see this. And so the way that you would use Marketplace is you would go up here and you'd say create post, and you would, it's very intuitive, you just kind of walk through, you would be doing a product, you would be probably, let's say, fruit or vegetables or whatever else that you want to do. I want to buy a product. Some schools actually do sell some products, so you can use this tool in both ways. I need it now, and you can see that I would go through, I'd write a title, I'd add some detailed descriptive information, quantity and pricing. If I know it, delivery preferences, maybe I only get deliveries like a couple days a week, and then contact info. So I'm not going to post this one, but if I did, I would just click on this, and it would go ahead, and then that would automatically show up right at the top of the list here in my marketplace. So that is a great way to do that, and you can actually use this for a formal bid as well. So if you had a formal request for proposals, RFP, you could actually post a link to that or post a document here so that folks could respond to that as well. So just very quickly, you can also think about the marketplace, to find things. So not just to find things for your program, but to look and see what's there. However, maybe I look at this and I go, you know what, sea salt and let's see what else we got, red wattle pork and buttermilk, maybe that's not exactly what I want for my school food program. So I can narrow the results. I can say, I just want to see products that are for sale. I only want to see things that are, 160 miles from me. I could be less. I could say 50 miles. I only want to see fruits and vegetables, at least for the time being. I can always change these. And if I like my filters and want to save them, again, you've got this function to save. So now you can see, look how much smaller my marketplace looks, much more manageable. I can see that, okay, freeze-dried blueberry powder, dried blueberries, squashes. If I was looking for squash, this looks great. If I was looking for something else, I could just quickly go, okay, it's not there. Either I'm going to create a post or look for elsewhere. So lastly, a really quick reminder that also when you go to My FoodHub, your dashboard, and that's what everyone sees when they sign into FoodHub, you've also got the marketplace. So you're also seeing it there. And you can see that here, I had actually gone ahead and I used this little link here, Edit Display, to pick the exact same things we just did. So fruit, for sale within 160 miles. So now on my dashboard, I'm just seeing only what I want to see in the marketplace. So I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Megan to talk to you about how to build relationships using FoodHub.
And we realized we were over a couple minutes, so we appreciate everybody who is sticking with us. And you know, please feel free to stay or go as you please. And I believe this will be recorded, and so if you'd like to come back and listen to the question and answer period that we'll have at the end or the rest of this presentation, you're more than welcome. But what we really wanted to touch on another great aspect of being a member of FoodHub, which is your profile. And this is a great way. We talked a little bit about how you can find farmers and some of the information that you're going to be looking for from them that's going to help you make some purchasing decisions and decide who you want to do business with, who you want to build relationships with. But you know, the other half of that is the buyer profile. And it's a really great way to let sellers know right up front what you expect and what you're looking for without you actually you know, having to go out and look for them yourself. So very similar to the seller profile, this has all of the current contact information. A best practice for this, of course, is to make sure that this is updated if you have a change in staffing, if you bring on new staff to help you with your farm-to-school program. As many people do, you can actually add a primary as well as a secondary contact. And this is really simple to edit. All you do is click the edit button, and you're able to edit all of this information. And you know, we can't state enough, FoodHub is meant to be a dynamic community. And this is meant to be changed. It's easy to change because it's meant to be updated as you update your needs and you update your staffing. And you know, put some pictures in here. Buyers have an all-access pass, so FoodHub is free for everybody. But it's really important to note that as buyers, you have an all-access pass to the site because it's really important that you're there. You know, you're driving this local food commerce. It's so important. And so, you know, show sellers, show other members what you're doing and who you are, with some pictures about illustrating your program. Talk about yourself. You can also download, like here we have a sample harvest of the month RFP. So like Stacy mentioned, you can be in the marketplace and then drive people to your profile to allow them to download this document right from FoodHub. Sample of food, safe food handling practices questionnaire. Let's say you might also have a calendar of your menu so that sellers know what you're planning for, and they might be able to help you fill any gaps you might have. And then how to do business with you. And this is a great way to really communicate with sellers what your exact expectations are. You work with these distributors. Maybe you have a commercial kitchen or a central kitchen, or maybe you need your producers, if you're working direct with farmers, to deliver to several locations. This is a perfect spot to put all of that information and, again, to update it as you need. And just like Stacy illustrated with finding products, when you do a product search, it brings up all of the sellers. Well, a lot of the sellers also will be doing product searches on the site. And the only way for your profile to show up, just like for theirs to show up, is to add products of your own. So here we see that Susie's added that she buys apples, blueberries, kiwi, melons, pears, etc. And so now, when those same farmers who have apples are on the site looking for buyers, this school will show up, and they'll be able to connect quickly and easily with you and start a relationship. And this is really great, you know. I mean, the recommendations. So here we have Frank's Farm. So these are, just to point out, these are both example profiles that we've built. So these aren't actual businesses, aren't actual people, but just to show you an example. So Frank's Farm, which is our example farmer, he said, I found Susie on FoodHub when I was doing search for blueberries. I'd never worked with a school before, and it was easy. And you know, just like you might, if you're just starting out building your local sourcing program, you might have a lot of questions, and they're, you know, similar to farmers. They might have a lot of questions about what it's like to do business with schools and how it works. And so the more information that you can provide on your profile, and the more clearly you can communicate your expectations, the better your relationships with local farmers is going to begin. So that's really all we wanted to cover on that, but I believe that we'll go into some question and answer. Is that right, Chelsea?
Thanks, Megan and Stacy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Thanks, Megan and Stacy. That was fantastic. We will be taking questions now. If you have a question, you can type them into the question field on your control panel. We do have a couple questions here. I also wanted to note, I'm not sure, I was able to see the polls, so I'm not sure if I was the only one, but just for Stacey and Megan's information, everyone on the webinar today is pretty new to FoodHub according to the answers, and a lot of them are also new to local food sourcing. So.
Okay, great.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm glad you all joined us to get a sort of an idea of how food could be helpful for you.
So our first question is a good one. One of our attendees would like to know if FoodHub is only for schools or if other institutions and perhaps even, I don't know, they might even be wondering about individuals and how else it can be used.
Sure, yeah. No, that's a great question. And we are talking specifically about schools today, but FoodHub is for all kinds of buyers, and we certainly do have all kinds of buyers on FoodHub. So we have other institutions like hospitals, other healthcare type facilities, restaurants, food carts, caterers, specialty grocery and retailers that are all listed as buyers on FoodHub. We also have emergency food assistance organizations. So if we have any folks joining us from food banks or shelters that are possibly looking to partner with local farms or even local buyers to make donations to their organization, we have you all listed on FoodHub as buyers as well. So like I said, it's for buyers and sellers of all kinds, so all shapes and sizes regardless of buying practice or growing practice, so commodity or organic, big, small.
Yeah, and I was just, while she was talking, I was just showing you, if you see next to Marketplace, there's a tab that says Member Directory. And so that's what I was showing you. And so if you want to search by member, say, particularly, there may be those of you on the call who are actually producers. And so you may want to look for schools, or you may want to look for hospitals, or you may want to look for emergency food assistance. As a school district, you may want to see what other schools are on there nearby. So you go to Member Directory, and then you're able to look here if you go to Business Type, and you can scroll down. There's a lot of different types. You can say Show More, and you can scroll down through here and click whoever you want to look at. I'm going to give you a little look at the schools that are on here. And so once this updates, we'll be able to see the number of schools, so we can see, or can we see the number of schools? No. But we can look through the different schools that are on here. And then the nice thing is, we can also save this search. So we can go in here and we can say, we could say K-12 school. And then when I come back into the tool, I don't have to go into Member Directory at all. I don't have to click schools. I can just go up to my saved searches, and I can go to K-12 schools, and that'll automatically update. So hopefully that can answer your question.
If there are any individuals online today, unfortunately right now FoodHub is really designed for wholesale food buyers and sellers. So it's designed for that business-to-business transaction. A great way for individuals to interface with this community is if you are with a buying club, or if you get a CSA box from a local farm. You maybe encourage that business to join FoodHub and maybe work with other producers to supply the CSA box. So that's really right now the best way for individuals to interface with the tool. We are hoping to, in the next year, develop more all-encompassing ways for these folks to interact with this community, but right now it's designed for wholesale buyers and sellers.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have several of our attendees are asking the same two questions. I'll mention them both so that everyone knows that we're going to cover them, and then we can take them one at a time. But so several people are asking about how FoodHub is funded, and then they're also asking about FoodHub's expansion. So we can start with the FoodHub and where it's funded, since it's free for users. How is it hosted?
Sure, those are both great questions. Right now, FoodHub is funded primarily through grants. So we received our initial grant funding from the Oregon Department of Agriculture and also the Washington State Department of Agriculture. And that's where we had our initial funding to do outreach in these two states, but we are in a 6-state region. And we also received some rural development grants. So some of our focus right now is really helping folks in those rural areas access more urban audiences to make it easier for them to do business. And then The second question about expansion is we are also hoping to expand. And so just like I mentioned earlier, we are currently operating in a 6-state region of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, California, and Alaska. However, we were having so much interest across the nation that we actually added the rest of the states to our sign-up page, so you can actually illustrate where you're located for real. So you don't have to say I'm from Oregon if you're actually located in New York. You can just say I'm located in New York, and you're welcome to check out the site. That way it is free. But you know, just right now, it's a little unfortunate because we don't have a great way of, we're a small team, we're a team of 3, and so we don't have a great way of accessing these other regions to do outreach. So if you're a buyer and you go onto FoodHub right now, you might not find folks in your area right away, but we are really hoping to solve for that in this upcoming year.
Thank those are great answers. And we had questions about expansion coming in from Canada and as far away as the Atlantic states. So
great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Another question is how FoodHub deals with aggregation from different farms.
Well, we don't have a physical end to our business model right now. So FoodHub, we aggregate, right now we're more of an information aggregator. So we aggregate this community of individuals who self-populate these profiles. So any of the information that shows up on FoodHub is there because that individual member has put it there. So it gives people a way to cluster or to find clusters of farms and buyers in an area where they want to do business. So right now we don't aggregate physically any product, but we do aggregate information. And kind of the other piece of that is, of course, the transportation and logistics piece. Because we don't have any of those physical infrastructure type pieces with this model, this online FoodHub model, we can't solve for that like on the ground, but we do actually have in the marketplace a transportation tab. So, and with this, we were really hoping to help people communicate to the rest of the community on FoodHub when they needed transportation. So, you know, if you were a farm and you were, you know, building your business so much that you were having to go into urban areas so often that it was becoming unsustainable, and you needed to partner with someone to make that transportation more cost effective. This is a really great way to illustrate this to the rest of the community if you're a distributor and you have capacity on a truck. So we're trying to right now solve for this in a very limited way using this tab so that people can just start talking about it and just start knowing who is going where with what.
And I think this would be an appropriate place for physical food hubs to have a profile as well, and so they can use FoodHub in the same way we've been talking about to find producers, you know, as an aggregator, to find buyers as well. And one of the cool things, I mean, we've seen some connections happen through the transport part of the marketplace. For instance, there's a really great company called Beeline that does bicycle deliveries in the urban core of Portland, and so the idea is that they can sort of take, you know, they can take deliveries and bike them into the downtown area. And I know there's some services like that in other states. Like I think there's one in New York. So that's a good way for those kind of companies to connect with other larger distributors and kind of make those connections.
Yeah, that's a great point, Stacy, especially about the food hubs. So the other benefit of this online model is that it really can be a hub of hubs. So, you know, whether you're an organization that, you know, builds a membership, you know, of local food advocates and producers and buyers in your area, you can illustrate that on FoodHub and give everybody a chance to interact and create those market connections, and illustrate your own kind of influence in the community as well, and be able to communicate with all of the people who you want to do business with.
So our next question is about how transactions take place. And I think this person's just looking to clarify mostly. I I gather that FoodHub is more, like you said earlier, it's more like Craigslist than, say, eBay. When you find something, FoodHub isn't involved, in other words, in the actual financial transactions. It's just a connector point. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. So right now it's a connecting tool. And the specifics of how the transaction occurs and what the agreement is on price and quantity are decided between the buyer and the seller.
And does FoodHub collect any statistics on sales by product type, quantity, state, anything like that?
Not right now, but we actually we do an annual survey. So we are able to we do collect some information. We'll be releasing the results of that survey and how FoodHub has influenced buying decisions and whether or not buyers have found new producers and started generating new relationships, as well as we also had some results of sellers letting us in on some information about how much money they've made on FoodHub if they did indeed make sales through connections that they've made here. And that's one of our challenges right now is we know that connections are happening. We hear about them a lot. But because we don't have a transaction backend, we don't have a real concrete way of saying, yes, X number of dollars are moving through the local food economy because people have made connections on FoodHub. One of the things that we hear quite often is that what will happen is, a seller will connect with a buyer on FoodHub. The buyer will just love their product and then spread the word to several of their colleagues. So that seller's influence and the audience that they want to reach is expanded because they've connected with this one buyer, and then it's a snowball effect of their product gaining notoriety and word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. And on our poll results, I'll note that word of mouth was the top way that people were, currently finding their local food sources. So I'm sure that has a big impact.
That's really interesting.
So how do you verify that information posted on FoodHub is honest, given that it's self-populated? Is there any check or balance on that?
We actually, in our user agreement, we actually don't stipulate that we verify that information. It is really because it's a connecting tool where buyers and sellers can start building that relationship and building that trust. If a producer isn't selling what they say they're selling or isn't selling it with the certifications that they say it has, that kind of thing can be really detrimental to a business. And I think buyers, especially businesses, restaurants, caterers, schools, certainly have requirements that they have to meet, either because it's something that's self-imposed, the buying process is self-imposed, or in the case of schools because they're required by law to make sure that the food that they're serving their students is safe. And so this whole practice of vetting producers as a buyer and making sure that it's a product that you want, that you're comfortable with giving, and that you trust the person that you're doing business with is a big part of that relationship building that happens offline once the connection is moved beyond the scope of what FoodHub does currently.
And there's a couple of things that can be useful checks since we don't do verification. So one is if there's a certain kind of certification or food safety document, the seller has the ability, as you saw, to post a document to their profile. So they could post their certification there for you to view. So if you are interested in seeing that, you could ask them to load that there or to email it to you. Another great check is as you saw, the references. So you had Farmer Frank. So that's another check that we add into the site so that you can get positive references, but you could also have someone say, this person wasn't good to work with and they didn't have, perhaps you. So anyway, so those are some checks that can assist.
Yeah, and there's other easy ways to make sure that producers are really in it. If they pay attention to their FoodHub profile, and we hear this from buyers quite often, is if a producer isn't taking care of their profile on FoodHub, isn't taking care of their website that we also allow folks to link directly from FoodHub, it's a good indication that they might not be taking care of their business in general. And again, like Stacy mentioned, those certification documents. We have another revenue source for us is we do have upgraded memberships for sellers and associates. So for $14.99 a month for a month-to-month membership or $129 a year, they can upgrade their membership and then be able to provide buyers with that additional information that they might be looking for, like certification paperwork and other documents that let that vetting process be more smooth and effective.
I think we'll just take one or two more questions. So if anyone has a question that hasn't been answered yet, just I encourage you to go ahead and type it in now as we wrap up and wind down here. One of our attendees noted that they see a lot of similarities between FoodHub and Market Maker, which is a fairly similar system that's being used in other states, I think particularly in the Midwest right now. And this attendee was wondering what the difference is in the roles that the two systems are addressing, which might be tricky because obviously you're experts in FoodHub, not Market Maker. But I just thought I'd mention that comment so that you know, anyone was curious about it, they could look it up later if they weren't aware of Market Maker.
Sure, yeah, and yeah, just like you mentioned, I have a limited knowledge of Market Maker, and again, it's that difference of the environment that we have created thus far is a business-to-business environment. It's a wholesale environment, and that's a little bit different from most of the other online models that you will find that might be similar to FoodHub. It's just the manner of business that occurs here is different and outside of the individual consumer scope.
And I wanted to take a really quick second since we've still got a few folks to show this, which is the knowledge base. And this is just an area where there are resources, and I'm actually going to go into the farm to school section here. And I just wanted to show you that there are resources that you can easily click through and download, and then you can actually rate them as well. So I encourage you to rate them. So resources that people really like will get bumped up, and resources that people are not as engaged as we can replace. But for instance, we have stuff for getting started. We have stuff for food service directors. So you can see under each of these there's a description and a download button. You can share it Twitter, Facebook, email, and you can give it a rating as well. So I just wanted to show everyone that. Any other questions, Chelsea?
That's great, because that was going to be our next question. Someone asked what the knowledge base was.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, you know, and especially for the folks, because we know we might have folks from government organizations or nonprofits, and the other goal of FoodHub is, you know, we really want to help people move food through this regional, the region that we've developed here and hopefully throughout the nation soon. But we also want to be a repository of thought and thought leadership. And so, you know, being able to have a place where information is aggregated as well, this kind of information to help people get started, either sourcing locally or selling locally, is another thing that's definitely on our radar and that is really important to us. So if you have a resource that you want to reach with a wider audience with, we would, you know, love to have it if it's, you know, something that would definitely benefit this community.
Well, thank you so much for the presentation today. I really appreciate it. I know everyone was really interested in FoodHub, and I wonder if maybe we can put the contact screen back up real quick.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go backwards. So if anyone has any follow-up questions, and I'll mention my email again if you have questions about the webinar series in general. I'm Chelsea Simpson, and you can find my information at farmtoschool.org or directly at Chelsea, C-H-E-L-S-E-Y, at farmtoschool.org. And there's Stacy and Megan again in their contact information, so if you really have an interest in FoodHub, I encourage you to get in touch with them. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you so much, Stacy and Megan. It was fantastic, a great view at a really great program.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.